Every good whiskey has a good story, and it is no less true of Red Eye whiskey. Born from the dusty soil of a Kansas farm and distilled atop Boot Hill. Meet Hayes Kelman. He's a millennial farmer and author of Red Eye whiskey. It is the product of corn and wheat, aged in a barrel, and served in a Glencairn glass. Hayes calls it soil to sip. Hi, I'm Dan Miller, a writer with DTN and Progressive Farmer. I visited Hayes Farm in Sublette, Kansas, and his Boot Hill Distillery in Dodge City last fall. And I came away with a great story, but I'll let Hayes begin. Quote, "We turn our corn and wheat primarily into bourbon and vodka," Hayes tells me. Red Eye, 51% corn, 49% wheat, is, as Hayes describes it, a beautiful, handcrafted, trail-aged, frontier-style Kansas whiskey. Hayes raises wheat, sorghum, and irrigated corn and soybeans across the prominently flat soils of Haskell County, Kansas, about an hour west of Dodge City. Most of the farm is irrigated. Corn yields are generally in the low 200s, but water is increasingly a management challenge. Kelman Farms wells are pumping about half their historic capacity. Hayes came to believe, even while in college, that the family farm was in need of some vertical integration, something less dependent on water. Quote, "There has to be something more than just growing grain, taking it to the elevator, and then repeating the same process all over again the next season." He continues, "It's no secret that we all face the same issues, maximizing production, minimizing inputs. We can bury our heads in the sand and pretend there aren't pressing issues on the horizon. Dryland production is not a happy alternative to irrigation in Kansas' hot and dry summers. It was 108 degrees the day I was there. Fed cattle offer some alternative opportunities, but in Hayes' part of Kansas, the area is nearly submerged in large feedlots." Then one day, Hayes had a thought. Whiskey. Quote, "We really enjoy drinking whiskey, so the best idea we could come up with would be to start a distillery. The distillery doesn't consume a lot of grain, but it multiplies the value of the grain it does use many times over." Hayes has been marketing his Boot Hill Distillery line since 2016. Boot Hill opened in boom times for craft distilleries. The Distilled Spirits Council reports that 2018 marked the 9th straight year of record spirit sales and volume in the United States. The value of the whiskey market alone in 2018 was $3.6 billion. Today, there are some 2,000 distillers in the United States, and this is a boom powered by millennials. By millennials, curiously enough, who drink less alcohol overall, who drink less beer than baby boomers, but who have become fond of sampling unique whiskeys and bourbons. Whiskeys with a story, and Hayes has a story to tell. Boot Hill overlooks Dodge City, Kansas. Dodge is that old west town defined by whiskey and Texas Longhorns, by cowboys who climbed down from their saddles and rolled into saloons for a shot of local spirits, and who sometimes tempted death with drawn Colt revolvers. Hayes' award-winning Red Eye is fermented atop Boot Hill in stainless fermentation vats. It is served inside a 90-year-old brick building once home to the city's municipal functions, including the jail. Even the dirt on which that building stands has a story. It was once the final home for the town's gunfighters. Some felons died so suddenly by a well-placed bullet that it was said they died with their boots on. Dodge City patrons will sip Boot Hill's first bourbons this year. That drink served over a 116-year-old Brunswick bar. The distillery business has roots in Kelman family history. The notion that a farm can be more than a farm. In 1921, an earlier generation of Kelmans moved 400 miles from Kansas City to western Kansas with hope to farm new land. Quote, "My grandfather was a businessman. He wasn't afraid to get into another industry if it made sense for the farm," he adds. Hayes believed his grandfather would approve of Boot Hill Distillery for that reason. Quote, "Both the farm and the distillery straddle tradition and technology. We know about seed placement and fertilizer rates. Today we have the ability to dial in our practices to specific values. We spend hours in the tractor, but we also spend hours poring over spreadsheets to understand the efficacy of our methods." The same is true in the distilling world, Hayes explains. Quote, People have been distilling alcohol for thousands of years. The principles have not changed, but our processes have evolved with technology. We use a large amount of distiller's art to produce our spirits. That's the smell and the taste. But we also use technology to precisely measure sugar and alcohol content. This is where the farm and distillery merge in Hayes' mind. Quote, "In both, we focus on an end goal. Continuing the family farm business doesn't mean Kelman Farms must farm more land," he says. "The same traditional work ethics and business processes that bring order and financial gain to farming translate well to other business ventures," he says. "Ultimately, I want to see this farm continue," he says. "It's that exact reason I built the distillery." If you happen to be in Dodge City, Kansas, take a seat at Boot Hill's Bar, where yesterday meets today. Hayes will be glad to pour you a drink, and he's got some great stories to tell. You will find this full story and a video about Hayes and Boot Hill Distillery in the February 2019 issue of Progressive Farmer. Go to www.dtnpf.com to find the digital issue of the magazine. Until next time, have a great day.